Om Sahanavatu Sahanam Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vartaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Pratitam Puranam Vidam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadyayini Advaitamaku Sampradhami Bhagavad Gite Bhagaveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Sumvam Divyai Savaihi Vedai Sagatana Brahmo Manishadari Nayakiyam Samagama Jnanavaskritatangratena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussurasuraha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Shruti vipratipanna Shruti vipratipanna Yadhasyasi nishchala Yadhasyasi nishchala Samadhavachara buddhi Samadhavachara buddhi Tada yogamavapsyasi Tada yogamavapsyasi. Verses 52 and 53 go together and you will see why. Let us see 53, then we go back to 52 and just join them together. Vipratipanna, the root verb is patil. What does it mean? Patil. Fall. Yes. Very good. So patil, prati plus patil, ni plus prati plus patil. Two prefixes. And then the past passive participle suffix. So that's what you have with pratipanna. So that means scattered, not fallen. It means scattered, all over the place, confused, scattered. So pratipanna, feminine, which goes with buddhi, which is also feminine. Yada te tava, your what? Buddhi vipratipanna. Vipratipanna means when your buddhi stops being scattered. We'll just see the translation and we'll go in detail. When the buddhi stops being scattered by various preoccupations. Why else is it scattered? Body is here, where is the buddhi? All over the place. The Saint Kabir had one couplet, a teaching couplet. He said, the beads are going round and round in the hand. And the tongue is going round and round in the mouth, saying Rama Rama, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. The mind is going round and round in various thoughts. This is not called meditation. This is what he declares. माला तो करवे फिरे जीभ फिरे बहुमाही मनुआ तो दस दिसी फिरे यह तो सुमिरन नाही. This is what he says. So this is that kind of thing. The mind is scattered. The lips are saying Om Namah Shivaya and dutifully the hands are counting the beats and going round and round. The mind is also going on a little trip. And this is what is called Pratipanna Buddhi. Why Pratipanna? Or we should say, how Pratipanna? Why Pratipanna? And how Pratipanna? How scattered and why is it that is scattered? Both of these we have to see. Here, the Lord Krishna says, Shrutina Vipratipanna. So that which is distracted by the Shruti. Ayyo, I'm studying the Shruti here. What do you mean distracted by the Shruti? Here he means the first portion of the Veda, which is like a desire buffet. You know buffet? When you go to a restaurant and you can just pick and choose and eat. And then you can go again and pick and choose and eat. And you can go third time, fourth time. Until the stomach starts to pain. You can do this. Keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. So, the first portion of the Veda is like a buffet. So many dishes are there, piled up. Then there are starters, what are they called? Appetizers. And then there are not just one or two, 7, 8 will be there. And then after that there is main dish. Again 8, 9 will be there. Then there will be dessert, sweet dishes. Again 6, 7 will be there. And so, like this, the first portion of the Veda has all kinds of desire fulfillment, upayas, remedies. Remedies for desire fulfillment, it is not unlike a buffet. I can pick, I can choose, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this yajna, that yajna, I can do this prayer, I can do that puja in order to fulfill my desires. And then what? And that is why Vedanta does not stick. The buddhi becomes like Teflon. You know Teflon? What is Teflon? Non-stick cookware. You put anything, it will not stick. While that is good for cooking, it's very easy to cook and clean and put away the pot and the pan. It is not good to have Teflon buddhi. Teflon buddhi means Vedanta will not stick. Why will it not stick? Because the buddhi is scattered. It's thinking of something there. How would it be if I had this? One is preoccupied. The heart is given to various preoccupations and there is very little left for Vedanta. Some purva vasana, some punya from the past can bring you to the Guru, can bring you to the class, can even make you sit and enjoy the class, but the mind is all over the place. This is why the focus is important. So, Shruti Vipratipanna te yada sthasyati, when it stays, stha to stay, sthasyati, when it will stay. How? Nishchala, without moving. Every single word that is heard, it becomes a meditation. It becomes a meditation. That much concentration, if one has in the Vedanta class, then the knowledge is very easy and quick to sit. The non-stick surface is not conducive to the knowledge. And so, yada sthasyati nishchala, samadhau, ajala buddhi. And there is a sandhi there. What kind of sandhi? Samadha vachala buddhi. Ayava sandhi. So, Samadhau achala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi you will gain. What will you gain? Yoga. Are we talking of karma yoga? No. We are talking here straight away of Atma Jnanam because karma yoga is being summed up. The purpose of karma yoga is to gain Atma Jnanam, and here straight away Atma Jnanam is being talked about. Straight away. And so this is the purport of this verse. And what it says is this, that even after coming to Vedanta, till the knowledge is steady, the distractions can take place. And there are plenty. One would think that there won't be any distractions, but there are. Even in a place like Anekatti, our counterpart down south, where the long-term courses are offered, even there will be so many distractions which nobody even knows about until the brahmacharis themselves come and tell. What happened? Why were you not in class? We went out for dosas. Where is dosas? Wherever you see is just trees and elephants. Where are the dosas? Oh, if you walk this way, about 3 kilometers, there is one fresh dosa stand that is only open from 4 to 5, the time of the class. And so, so that's why we went there. So that somehow the smell of the dosa comes. So you see, this is how it is. So if the heart, I mean, once in a while nobody minds, but if that kind of a distraction, if those kinds of distractions overpower, then what happens? Then there is a problem. That overpowering is the problem. And so therefore, this is a big deterrent for Atma Jnana. So here, this, as I told you, this verse 53 connects with the previous one, 52. In 52, Yadake Moha Kalilam Buddhi, again the Buddhi, Yati Karishyati. Moha Kalilam means a muddled up mind due to not having proper priorities in place. What is that value called? Viveka. And then in the next one, what is highlighted? Vairagya. So at the conclusion of Karma Yoga, both discussion of Karma Yoga, both Viveka and Vairagya are highlighted. Verse number 52, Viveka. That ultimately Viveka has got to be developed and followed, because Viveka and Vairagya are like twin brothers. You can't have one without the other. If you have only Viveka, then what is the use? I know that the difference between Atma and Anatma, but I'm not doing anything about it. That's not the point. And then if you have Vairagya, but you don't know why you are giving things up, you don't know why you are growing out of things, you don't know, then also it's a problem. So Viveka and Vairagya feed and nurture each other. And both of them have to be kept right on top, these two verses say. And then at the end of verse 53, the bell rang, it was time for tea. And Lord Krishna thought, oh, good, I'll have a tea break. But then Arjuna asks a question. Arjuna uvacha Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha Samadhisthasya keshava स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम् श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामः आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते The next stanza says this. So, here Arjuna has a question. Because he's been listening to Karma Yoga and he's been listening to the fact that without Karma Yoga, adequate growth does not take place for Atma Jnanam. He's been listening to that. And then he has also been listening to what Atma is and what Atma Jnanam is, how the person of knowledge is free of sorrow, free of pain, etc. Now he wants to know the characteristics of a jnani. You know, there is a hobby called bird watching. You take your binoculars and you watch the birds. And you say, oh, this is the spotted owl. Oh, this one is that. This one is myna. This one is nightingale. All these things you can say. So Arjuna is interested in being able to tell Ajnani apart from the Ajnani. How do I tell who is Ajnani? I would like to know. And so he asks a question which is very innocent and impulsive. And then we have to appreciate the innocence of the question. Because he thought that the Jnani will look a certain way. Maybe the Jnani talks a certain way. Maybe the Jnani walks a certain way. And then if only I could find out how they walk, how they sit, how they talk, I can do the same thing. And so his question, let us see. Sthita prajna. Sthita prajna. Tasmin, in whom the knowledge is abiding. Or sthita prajna yasya, whose knowledge of the self, of course, as Brahman, is abiding. Abiding means not going anywhere else. It is just with that person only. Abiding. Meaning, it's not that the knowledge or the clarity comes and goes, which is how it is for most of the people who are studying. There is a minute of wonderful clarity, and the next minute everything gets clouded, the priorities get confused, as it were. But for the Jnani is able to stay in that knowledge all the time. And Arjuna is eager to know, what does that look like? His question is very innocent because naturally we cannot tell a jnani apart from an ajnani for two reasons. First reason is because only one jnani can tell if the other person is a jnani or not. Only one jnani can tell. An ajnani cannot tell if the person is a jnani or not. So this question, is Arjuna a jnani or not? No, not yet anyway. Maybe in the 18th chapter we can consider him a jnani. But right now he is very much an ajnani. So even if he has some chinhas, some lakshanas, lakshanas means some characteristics, how is that going to help him? So that is one reason. You cannot really tell who is a jnani. Only one jnani can tell another who is another jnani can point out. Then the second reason this question is very innocent is because even if you have jnani lakshana, what are you going to do with it? That is the jnani's lakshana, not yours. So if you find out that somebody who talks very, very slowly and softly is a jnani. How is it going to help you? If you start talking slowly and softly, is that going to make you a jnani? No. So for these two reasons, it's a little naive. Naive means gullible, very innocent question. So, yasya prajna sthita, that one is called sthita prajna. Bhagavan chose this word. He himself, Arjuna himself is credited with coining this word because he himself is using the word. Bhagavan doesn't say that at all. He himself says sthita prajna. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. Bhasha means bhash, to speak. So you can take it like what language does she or he speak, or how does she or he speak. Fast, slow, or not at all. Sometimes what happens, some people think that the ones who know do not talk, and the ones who talk do not know. If this is the belief, then we are in hot water. We don't know whether to talk or not to talk. Because whether one is silent or whether one talks, half the people are bound to think you know, half the people are bound to think you don't know. So there is that kind of these are all what are called spiritual romanticism. Like ideal type fantasies about the jnani. Oh, jnani, my understanding or my fantasy about the jnani is they should be very, very, very quiet. Where is this coming from? Maybe the person grew up in a household which was, everybody was fighting all the time. In a joint, extended family, everybody living together, and everybody was each other's throats, and the person could not find peace and quiet anywhere, and then came to Rishikesh, sat in front of a Mahatma who never opened his mouth or her mouth. And then what? The person said, ha, this must be a jnani. Because in his or her life, that person had never known even a moment of peace and quiet and did not know anybody who could keep quiet. Even if they got paid, they would not keep quiet. And so, this being the case, that sometimes people are drawn to these kinds of people, and they assume that if you talk, you are not a jnani. If you don't talk, you are a jnani. Suppose in one's background the opposite is true. At home, nobody spoke. Everybody did their own thing. There was silent neglect everywhere. That was one's background. So then coming to a talking Mahatma, one would consider be very relieved and say, okay, this must be the jnani. So like this, it is a subjective, what I am trying to illustrate is that it's a very subjective understanding. Some people think only the ones who have a beard, they alone are jnanis. That excludes so many people. Okay? And then, so like this, so many different things are there. Our own criteria. And so therefore, from this innocent stance, Arjuna asks this question. Ka bhasha. What language does the jnani talk? Will I understand that language? What words will the jnani use, if any? And who is this jnani? Samadhisthaha. Samadhau tishtati iti. The one who can, who is of a resolved mind. Doesn't mean the one who sits in samadhi, it can mean that. But if you look at a deeper meaning, it means the one whose mind has resolved into oneself. The mind is not querulous and complaining all the time. The mind has resolved into its resting place, the heart, and the heart is the Atma. So the mind has resolved with oneself. It is not scattered, pratipanna, vipratipanna, and it is not complaining or feeling regret of any kind. This is sthita prajna. So samadhistha, sthita pragyasya, these are all adjectives. Ka bhasha. And then one more, sthita dhihi, the one whose buddhi is steady in this knowledge. Kim prabhasheta, how does the person talk? Kim asita, how does the person sit? Kim vrajeta, how does the person walk? The word kim can mean what and also how in Sanskrit. Here we have to take it as how, because what do they sit, what do they what do they stand doesn't make any sense. Because the verbs sit and stand being intransitive verbs. So how do they sit? Do they sit like the visiting Shankaracharya with the traveling throne who had come to greet, he had gone to greet him with a traveling throne? The throne came in its own vehicle and it was loaded, offloaded from the vehicle and set up. And the throne had its own umbrella, lot of beautiful, very nice silver throne. And so, does the person of knowledge sit like that? Or the person of knowledge sits in some other place? How do they sit? How do they walk? How do they talk? This is his question. There are two ways of answering a question, especially a question of this much importance. This is a very important question because not just Arjuna, it is on everybody's mind. Everyone's mind. What is a jnani? All this time I have been learning jnani, jnani, jnani. That is what I want to be. So I better be on the lookout for other jnanis so that I can see what they are like. What are they like? This is a natural curiosity. Someone who has finished this journey called moksha, which is basically a U-turn back to oneself. How does this person behave in society? We already know that at the time of gaining this clear knowledge, the person does not die, correct? You know that. So they survive Jivan Mukti, so they are still alive. And so how do they lead their life? Like so many things, like if you look at some kind of a weight loss supplement, very popular weight loss supplement, there will be some write-up about the supplement and then two photos of the same person. First one says before, the second one says after. So this is what Arjuna wants to know. Before, just like me and everybody else, after what, if you took a photo of the Jnani after Jnana, what will he or she look like? How will they talk? How will they walk? This is of utmost curiosity because the person continues to live in an as though world of divisions. Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara's creation doesn't wrap up just because like a carpet, just because you got Atmajnana. Just because you got Atmajnanam, all the other jivas do not resort in the Jagat. Neither do the trees and all the other things. The five elements do not just stop existing just because you got Atmajnana. Why? Because you did not make them. They are Ishvara Srishti, Ishvara Vikshepa, the projection or the manifestation of Ishvara, and that will continue like sunset. There is no sun that is setting. But we enjoy the sunset nonetheless because for us who have had the geography lesson that it is the earth moving around, what do we know? We just know that this is not the sunset, but we enjoy the sunset. Because the sunset becomes badhita, sublated, negated, still enjoyable. So in the same way, the Jnani also enjoys this world because the world doesn't come to an end. And Arjuna wants to know, how does the Jnani who has this knowledge of oneness go about their day in a world of divisions? in a world filled with conflict, in a world filled with strife, in a world filled with all kinds of duality, how do they go about their day? How do they walk? How do they talk? What will happen if a pickpocket comes and takes away their belongings? And so all this Arjuna wants to. There are two ways of answering a question. You can answer a question directly if it is a directly answerable question. What time is it? It is 4:30. One can say it's a directly answerable question, you can answer it. Certain questions cannot be answered directly, so you have to look for the spirit of the question and answer the spirit of the question, which is exactly what Lord Krishna does. Because it cannot be directly answered. Because Mahatmas are there all over the world. And then if you make a maxim, or the Jnani eats dosas, if you say that, then if you have a Jnani from Punjab wanting puri, then that means you say, oh, this must not be a Jnani because you are eating puris. Or some Italian Jnani wants pasta, so you cannot say you must not be a Jnani. No, not possibility, because the eating, drinking has nothing to do with Atma Jnana. That is body, dharma, mind, dharma, and whatever cultural, whatever they are used to, they may be continuing to eat. So, this question cannot be answered directly. It has to be answered in spirit. And so Bhagavan gives two characteristics of the Jnani in the next verse, and then after that a few more characteristics. But before we study Bhagavan Krishna's answer, one thing we must know is that in answering the spirit of the question, Lord Krishna says one more thing. Lord Krishna appears to be saying that the characteristics of the Jnani become sadhana for the one who wants to be a Jnani. Sadhana means practice, means. So for the Jnani, the characteristics that are going to be described here come spontaneously. They are the spontaneous expression of the person herself himself. But for the one who is not yet a Jnani, a person who wants to be a Jnani. So for the Jnani wannabe, meaning the person who wants to be a Jnani, for that person, these become like the steps of a ladder to slowly practice and climb and assimilate those qualities, and then the truth behind those qualities and those characteristics, so that one grows. In the beginning, whatever Lord Krishna is describing here is deliberately followed with gritted teeth. There may be tears in the eyes, and just like going to the gym. When you go to the gym, there will be photos of people who are very well sculpted bodies and muscles coming out of everywhere. But then, when you do something, you take some machine and go like this, you don't look like that at all. And if that person were to come, they would just, without any hesitation, lift something and do it. You can't lift it. Even with both the hands, both the legs, even with two friends, you cannot lift that equipment even. But that is how it is in the beginning. After going one day to the gym, you can't stand and look whether the biceps and triceps and all these things have come. They will not have come. And then after many months of pressing the iron, as they say, afterwards one small muscle will come. Tiny one, not like what we see in the movies. And then you got the flu. You could go to the gym for 3 days, it is gone also. So like this, for the person who wants to be the Jnani, this is the hard work. This is where the sadhanam is. So these become the lakshanani, become sadhanani, the jnani lakshanas become sadhanani for the one who wants to be ajnani. So in the next verse, which we just chanted, Lord Krishna gives two main lakshanas, and those are going to be developed in the succeeding verses. First characteristic, prajahati, prakarshena jahati, ha, which means to give up. Jahati, prakarshena means totally gives up. Yadha, when, kaman, all desires, sarvan kaman, all the desires, without any shesha. Think about this. All the desires, the one who gives up, manogatan kaman, even as they arise in the mind, the desires are given up. When they arise in the mind, it's just an idea at first, right? Then the idea, you dwell on that idea, then it's still not a full-fledged desire, then it becomes a fancy. Then you fan the fancy, and then it becomes a full-fledged desire. Here, no such thing. The idea comes and it is immediately given up. Characteristic number one. Characteristic number two, Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. The one who is happy by themselves, being themselves, in themselves, without the need for any other prompt. People might say, that's very easy. I'm happy with myself. Yeah, I can be in a room all day long. Yes, but give me your phone and your computer. Then you sit in the room, let's see how long you stay there. That is the idea. No internet, only internet. Okay? Are you just happy being yourself? Without any props, without phone, without a text, without any book. Are you just happy? Tushtaha means delighted, contented. Contented being what you are. Sthita prajnaha tada uchyate. That time you can consider the person to be a sthita prajna, the one in whom the knowledge is established. Now the mind is jumping in all kinds of directions. First of all, how to give up all desires. Is it possible to give up all desires? No. Simply because look at the logic of this. So what will I say? I will say, I want to give up all desires. I have to give up all desires. I have to give up all desires. Then I'm stuck with a desire to give up all the desires. Then I have to have one more desire to say, I want to give up the desire to give up all desires. Then I have to give up the desire to give up all desires. Then I have to give up the desire to give up the desire to give up the desire to give up all desires. You see, we are in an infinite regression. It's not possible to give up all desires. So, there must be a deeper meaning. Because the Shruti is not wrong. And Gita is not wrong. Certainly Bhagavan Krishna is not wrong. So what is it that is being talked about? Desires that have the capacity to sway the person are given. So every desire is examined as it arises in the mind. Are you in the driver's seat or is it driving you crazy? This is very easy to know. Are you driving it? Or is it driving you? Are you possessor of desire or are you possessed by the desire? Possessed by the desire means like a possession, like a ghostly possession. Possessed by desire. Are you possessed by desire? Or are you the one who is possessing the desire? So if I have, I am the holder of the key, right? I'm holding the key. Then what does that mean? I can drop the key at will because I am the holding the key. But supposing somehow the key starts to hold on to me very, very tightly. Let's say I put it on the finger and it doesn't come out and I just keep shaking it and it's not coming out. That means the key is holding on to me. This is exactly why I have a problem with the word householder. The word grihastha is translated into householder. You ask any householder, okay, come to the ashram. No, 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 I can't come. I have to pay the bills, I have to do this. And so that means what? It's not householder, it is house held. And it's not the holder of desires, it is held by the desires. So we make a distinction between two kinds of desires. The first kind hold you in thrall. In thrall means in fear. If you don't fulfill me, I'm going to beat you with a stick, the desire says. It kidnaps you and holds you hostage. There are certain kinds of desires, and Pujya Swamiji referred to them as binding desires. Because they bind you. They make you feel bound. Anytime you say, I cannot live without, dot, 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 you fill in the blank. Without an object, without an event, without a situation, or without a person or persons, immediately that's where the core desires are, which are called binding desires. Then there are certain other desires, when you examine them carefully, you find that fulfilled they are okay, I am okay. And if they are not fulfilled also, I am okay. Like what? Oh, I want to see this, I want to read this book, or I want to see this film. Well, it's very crowded and you will never get the tickets, or it's raining and I don't think it's possible to go. And then you say, it's okay, I'll see something else, or I won't see, I'll do something else. That means it's not a binding desire. Many such desires are there. But then if you look at a desire and immediately there is a lump in the throat, a catch in the heart, that's how it is, you understand it's binding. In a way, you feel it sometimes even physically. All you have to do is think of a person and then you start feeling anxious about them. That means there is a binding nature to that particular desire connected to that person. And so we make a distinction and the binding desires are given up. How to give up the binding desires? First, you put them on a timetable of delayed or deferred gratification. In fact, now all the psychologists are saying this is the best way to raise children. Don't give them immediately whatever they ask for, because when they grow up, they will make horrible citizens. They will not know what to do. They will not be able to adjust to disappointment. So, deferred gratification. I want this now, I'm going to die. Okay, I can have it anytime. I'll have it 2 hours later. And then do something that you enjoy. Go for a walk, listen to music, talk to people, chant the Gita, listen to some bhajans, do something. Then in all likelihood, after 2 hours, you may have forgotten about it. Or if you don't forget about it, just say, in 1 more hour I will have it. So keep deferring until you cannot. And this way, the binding desires soon will lose their teeth. This is the sadhana for the one who wants to be a jnani, the one who is studying Vedanta can cultivate this practice of deferred or delayed gratification. Whatever seems very, very urgent, I have to do this now. Stop yourself and say, I will do it in 4 hours. I will do it in 2 hours and I will not die. Nothing will happen. That is how to overcome slowly the binding desires. So this is the first definition of jnana. Then the second definition is Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. The one that is happy being themselves. They don't need a prop. They don't need a crutch. All crutches are until this knowledge stabilizes in the mind. Just like a person who has injured the foot, they have injured the foot and then they need a cast, they need a wheelchair. After a while, they are able to get out of the wheelchair and manage with crutches. Then after a while, they don't even need the crutches, they need to hold on to somebody to walk for some time. And after that, even that person is given up, they can walk freely. Like this, it is a process. So you can't give up all the crutches, otherwise depression will set in instantly. So therefore, you give up the worst of the crutches. First, there are two ways to go about this. If you are ready, you can give up the worst of the crutches first, and then the smaller ones will naturally grow. Go. Or you can put your toe in the water slowly and then get into the water after seeing the temperature. And so you can give up the baby crutches and say, oh, I'm fine without this. I'm fine without that. See, I did have that and I'm still okay. This is kind of nice. And then you slowly graduate to bigger and bigger things. This is the idea. So this is deliberately cultivated, whereas for the jnani, it is a spontaneous expression. This doesn't mean that the jnani is one who is locked in their room without anything, no furniture, nothing, because Atmani eva Atmana tushta, only the Atma is there, nothing else is there. That's not the idea. The jnani is untouched by what they see, what they hear, and what they do. This is going to be explained beautifully towards the end of the chapter, where the desires enter and leave the jnani freely, like the rivers entering the ocean without causing the disturbance in the already full ocean. That is how the relationship of the jnani to the various desires are. Going further, Dukkheshvanudvignamanaha Sukheshu vigatasprahah Vitaraga स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Dukkheshu, plural, means there must be at least three. If it's a Sanskrit plural, it should be more than two. That means what? Three. At least three things must be there. Dukkheshu, in sorrow. Anudvignamanaha, the one whose mind is not in turmoil at times of difficulties, challenges, sorrows. Sukheshu. Sukheshu means in times of, with reference to happiness, in times of pleasant situations or enjoyable situations. Vigata Spruha Yasmat, from whom the binding desires have departed. And what is the desire when Sukha comes? I want to elongate the situation. I want to lengthen the Sukha and shorten the Dukkha. This is a human tendency, is it not? I want to lengthen the Sukha. I want to enjoy the Sukha. I want to lengthen the Sukha. Make it long, long, long. And then that is not there in a jnani. Then Vita means Vigata, from whom these things have gone. What is the first thing? Raga. Raga includes Dvesha also. From whom the Raga, Dvesha have gone, number one. From whom the fear has departed, number two. And from whom the anger has departed. Sthitadhihi, meaning the one whose buddhi is settled in the knowledge. Munihi, mananashilaha. Mananashilaha means a contemplative sage. A contemplative person, a quiet, tranquil, contemplative person. Munihi, sthitadhihi iti uchyate. Such a person is said to be a person of contemplation, a person whose knowledge is steady. So Dukkheshu means there should be three kinds of difficulties. What are they? Three kinds of difficulties. No tea, no lunch, no dinner. Exactly. Adhidaivika. Devanam adhikritya tishtati. That which is centered on Daivam, over things over which I have no control. Centered on Bhagavan, centered on God. Lightning, strike, earthquake, sudden fire, forest fire. What control I have? No control. These kinds of difficulties are called Adhidaivika or Adhideva. Adhideva, that belonging to this particular category is called Adhidaivika. Then all that is fine. Nothing, there is no lightning striking, no earthquake has come. Adhibhautika. Bhutanam adhikritya tishtati. Centered on the bhutas means the five elements and the elementals, everything else that has come out of the five elements. In other words, centered on your own surroundings. So the earthquake is not there, rains also have stopped, but then what? I don't like that this person is also pursuing the 6-month course. I like that I am in it, but why is this person there? It's clear they don't have Shama, they don't have Dama, they Uparati, they don't even know how to spell. But still they have come here. Why? And in the process, while I'm thinking this, Tattvamasi Upadesha has taken place and I have missed it completely. This is called Adhibhautika, obstruction, centered on one's own surroundings. Being very preoccupied with other people or other things, other than oneself, connected to the surroundings. Then, if all that is okay, then I have my own mind and my own brain and my own heart to contend with. Suddenly, I don't feel so good. Oh, are you sick? No, I just don't feel good. Why don't you feel good? Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika, centered on oneself. Some doubt comes. Already 1.5 months over. What have I studied? Will I ever get this knowledge? Did I make a mistake in coming here? OMG, what all I could have done in these 1.5 months? Where all I could have gone? What all I could have accomplished? What all I could have achieved? Perhaps my name could have come in the paper also. And here I am sitting every day, serving people at lunch or cleaning the classroom. Tuesday, Friday. What have I done? Adhyatmika. It can be in the form of a doubt, it can be in the form of a regret. It can be in the form of a longing. Whatever it is, it takes the mind away. So this is all dukkha, regrets, resentments, fears, difficulties. Don't worry, today is the weekend, so tomorrow you can have, you can have fun tomorrow. So this is the adhyatmika. So dukkheshu means under all these circumstances, the one whose mind does not have udvega. Manasaha udvega rahityam. That which is totally devoid of udvega. Udvega means agitation. Like the washing machine. In fact, that's what it is. It's supposed to do. When you put the clothes and it fills up with water, what does it do? It agitates. It goes like this, like this, like this, like this. And that's fine for the machine to do. But here, if the mind is going like this, like this, like this, like this, I should have done this, no, I should have done this, why me, what's happening? All confusion and agitation. That is not very conducive. So, dukkheshu means in any kind, confronted by any kind of challenge, any kind of sorrow, any kind of difficulty, there is no udvega, no kind of agitation, affliction in the heart, in the mind. So some people are quiet when they are having challenges. They don't talk to anybody, they don't speak, they just eat their difficulties. They eat dukkha they eat adhi daivika for breakfast, adhi bhautika for lunch, and adhyatmika for dinner. They don't discuss with anybody, too. Very quiet. But then, what happens? In times of happiness, they cannot control themselves. Yippee! Yee-ha! They are just all over the place. They go and stick on the ceiling because they have gone so high, you have to peel them off slowly, carefully, and bring them down because they are in ecstasy. Some people are able to manage the ecstasy, but one drop of agony, they fall apart. They have to be taken out of the room in buckets. They have a meltdown. So either way, the one who is not afflicted either by sukha or pleasant situations. Pleasant situations, how can they affect the mind? Because there is the fear. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. I know something is wrong. I know something is wrong. One lady came to see me and then she said, I'm really very worried. I said, what happened? Is everything okay with the family? Yes. Children are fine. Yes, they are studying very well. Husband is okay. Yes, wonderful. Your job is okay. Yes. I said, then what's the problem? She said, that's the problem. Everything is okay. So I'm worried. That's exactly the problem. And so this is what it is. If things are going well also, there is udvega. Oh my God, it's not going to last and I want to make it last. If it is too good to be true, it must be too good to be true. It must not be true. Then I saw another one in our ashram in Sailorsburg. There was somebody's birthday party, so they had served ice cream. This was last summer. And so I saw one small child, 2 summers ago. I saw one small child, 5-year-old girl, eating her ice cream and crying into the ice cream, making it melt faster. I said, what happened? Are you okay? Yes, still crying. I said, what's the matter? It's already half over, it's going to get over. And mommy said, I cannot have one more. I have to just enjoy just this. So this was the thing. And so this is exactly how it is. In times of happiness, we want to elongate it. So the jnani neither wants to elongate the happiness moments, nor wants to truncate the moments of sadness. And it's the same that we already saw samatvam, equanimity in both those situations. Then we have to see one more characteristic. Vitaraga bhaya krodha, the one who is free of raga, dvesha, the one who is free of bhaya, fear, the one who is free of anger. How is that? We will see that tomorrow.
Weekend.
Day after tomorrow, that's right. Weekend.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ